You're not in control of nearly as much as you think you are. That parking spot you found because you manifested it? Pure luck. That promotion you got because you worked hard? Partly luck. Your brain is lying to you about how much power you actually have, and it's making you do things that look completely ridiculous. Have you ever pressed the elevator button multiple times because you thought it would make it come faster? Have you ever blown on dice before rolling them? Have you ever had a lucky shirt you wore to important events? Have you ever thought that thinking positive thoughts would make good things happen? All of these behaviors have something in common. They're all examples of you trying to control things that you can't actually control. Your brain tricks you into believing you have power over random events, over luck, over things that are completely outside your influence. This is called the illusion of control, and it affects way more of your life than just elevator buttons and lucky shirts. The illusion of control is when you believe you have more influence over outcomes than you actually do. It's when you think your actions, thoughts, or rituals can affect things that are really just random chance or completely outside your control. And humans do this constantly. We see patterns where there aren't any. We think we caused things that would have happened anyway. We believe we can influence outcomes through actions that don't actually do anything. This isn't just about harmless superstitions. The illusion of control affects major life decisions. It affects how people invest money. It affects how they run businesses. It affects how they approach their careers and relationships. It makes people take credit for successes that were mostly luck. It makes people blame themselves for failures that were mostly bad luck. And it makes people waste enormous amounts of time and energy on things that don't matter. Psychologists have studied this extensively, and they found that the illusion of control shows up in really specific situations. It's strongest when you're personally involved in something rather than watching from the outside. It's stronger when you make a choice, even if that choice doesn't actually matter. It's stronger when you're familiar with a task, even if that familiarity doesn't give you any real advantage. And it's way stronger when the outcome is important to you. Let me give you some examples that'll show you how deep this goes. Researchers did a study where they had people bet on coin flips. One group got to flip the coin themselves. Another group watched someone else flip the coin. Both groups were betting on pure randomness. A coin flip is 50-50, no matter who flips it. But the people who got to flip the coin themselves bet more money. They felt more confident. They thought their personal involvement somehow gave them better odds, even though it obviously didn't. Another study had people buy lottery tickets. Some people got to choose their own numbers. Other people were assigned random numbers. Then, researchers offered to buy the tickets back from people before the drawing. The people who chose their own numbers wanted way more money to sell their tickets than the people with assigned numbers. They valued their tickets more highly just because they picked the numbers, even though picking your own numbers doesn't increase your chances of winning at all. This is why casinos let you throw the dice yourself in craps. It's why they let you choose your slot machine. It's why poker players have superstitious routines. The personal involvement creates an illusion of control that makes people feel like they have more influence over the outcome. And when people feel in control, they play longer and bet more money. But gambling isn't the only place this shows up. Think about investors in the stock market. People who actively trade stocks often think they can beat the market through their skill and knowledge. They spend hours researching companies, reading charts, timing their buys and sells, and the vast majority of them perform worse than people who just buy index funds and hold them. All that effort, all that feeling of control, usually leads to worse results than doing almost nothing. But traders keep doing it because the illusion of control is so strong. Every time they make a trade and the stock goes up, they think it was their skill. Every time they lose money, they think they just need to learn more and try harder. They can't accept that most of what happens in the stock market on a day-to-day basis is essentially random noise that nobody can predict consistently. Business owners fall into this too. Someone starts a business and it succeeds. So they write a book about the 10 things they did to guarantee success. But often, the timing was just right, or they got lucky with their first customer, or the competition happened to be weak, or 100 other factors that had nothing to do with their brilliant strategy. But because they were personally involved and working hard, they feel like their actions directly caused the success. They have an illusion of control over factors that were mostly outside their control. Sports fans are ridiculous about this. People genuinely believe that wearing their lucky jersey helps their team win. They think sitting in a certain spot on the couch affects the game. They think their team lost because they didn't watch, or because they watched with the wrong people, or because they didn't do their pre-game ritual. They know logically that nothing they do at home affects what happens on the field, but they can't shake the feeling that somehow it matters. Students do this with test-taking. They have lucky pencils or lucky seats. They wear the same outfit they wore when they did well on a previous test. They eat the same breakfast. Some of these things might help a tiny bit with comfort and routine, but students often believe these rituals directly cause better grades, when really it's just the studying that matters. The illusion of control gets really dangerous in health situations. People think positive thinking can cure diseases. They think visualization can heal injuries. They blame themselves for getting sick as if they somehow caused it through negative thoughts or not being healthy enough. Sometimes people even avoid real medical treatment because they believe they can control their condition through willpower or alternative methods that don't actually work. Don't get me wrong. Attitude and mental state can affect recovery in some ways. Stress is bad for you. Hope is good for you. But there's a huge difference between staying positive might help you cope better and positive thinking will cure cancer. The illusion of control makes people believe they have way more power over their health than they do, and that can lead to really bad decisions. Social media feeds into this hard. People post about manifesting things or the law of attraction. They say they got their dream job because they visualized it every day. They say they met their partner because they put it out into the universe. And sure, maybe having goals and thinking positively helped them take actions that led to good outcomes. But they're attributing success to the visualization itself, to the thinking, to the manifesting, when really it was probably a combination of normal effort, being in the right place at the right time, and a whole lot of luck. The problem with this kind of thinking is that it sets people up for disappointment. If you believe you can control outcomes through positive thinking, what happens when things go wrong despite your best efforts? You blame yourself. You think you didn't visualize hard enough or believe strongly enough. You feel like a failure when really you just experienced normal bad luck that happens to everyone. So here's the big question. If the illusion of control is everywhere and our brains naturally create it, how do we deal with it? How do we know when we actually have control versus when we just think we do? First, you need to get really honest about randomness and luck. Most people massively underestimate how big a role luck plays in outcomes. Success is usually some combination of preparation, effort, and luck. Failure is usually some combination of mistakes, circumstances, and bad luck. When something good happens, ask yourself what role luck played. When something bad happens, ask yourself what was actually within your control. Second, look at the actual mechanism of control. Can you explain exactly how your action influences the outcome? Studying for a test directly affects your performance because you're learning the material. That's real control. Wearing a lucky shirt does not affect your test performance because there's no mechanism connecting what you wear to what you know. If you can't explain the mechanism, you probably don't have real control. Third, test your beliefs. If you think you have control over something, see what happens when you deliberately don't do your ritual or routine. Most people avoid testing this because deep down they know their ritual doesn't actually help, but they're scared to prove it. If your lucky socks really helped, you could test it by not wearing them and seeing if anything changes. Spoiler: nothing will change. Fourth, embrace uncertainty instead of fighting it. A lot of the illusion of control comes from discomfort with randomness. People hate feeling like things are out of their control, so they create fake control to feel better. But accepting that many things are uncertain and unpredictable is actually freeing. You can stop wasting energy on fake control and focus on things you actually can influence. Fifth, distinguish between process and outcome. You have control over your actions and your effort. You don't have control over results. You can control how much you study, but you can't control whether you get the exact grade you want. You can control your job application materials, but you can't control whether you get hired. Focus on controlling the process and accept that outcomes will always have elements beyond your control. Sixth, watch out for hindsight bias. After something happens, it's really easy to look back and create a story about how your actions caused it. But that's your brain making sense of the past, not an accurate representation of cause and effect. Just because you visualized something and then it happened doesn't mean the visualization caused it. Correlation doesn't equal causation. The illusion of control is one of those biases that feels good in the moment but causes problems long term. It feels good to think you're in control. It feels good to believe your rituals matter and your positive thinking shapes reality. But it's not true. And believing things that aren't true leads to bad decisions. You end up wasting time on actions that don't help. You blame yourself for things that weren't your fault. You give yourself too much credit for successes that were partly luck. You make risky decisions because you overestimate your ability to influence outcomes. You get disappointed when your manifestation techniques don't work. You might even avoid real solutions because you think you can control things through willpower alone. Understanding the illusion of control doesn't mean becoming pessimistic or feeling helpless. It means being realistic about what you can and can't influence. You have real control over your actions, your effort, your attitude, how you treat people, how you spend your time. Those are the things worth focusing on. Those are the things that actually matter. But you don't control whether the elevator comes faster if you press the button multiple times. You don't control lottery numbers through visualization. You don't control your team's performance through your lucky jersey. You don't control randomness through rituals. Accepting this is hard because humans hate feeling powerless. But it's liberating once you get there. Focus your energy on what you actually control. Let go of the illusion that you control everything else. Stop blaming yourself for bad luck. Stop taking full credit for good luck. See reality more clearly. That's where real power comes from. Not from fake control over random events, but from real control over your own choices and actions. Check out the next video where I break down another bias that is making you believe things that are not real.